that you just said?
Well, the old right existed before the neoconservatives took over. Neoconservatives came from the liberal Democrat side, and the neoconservatives really aren't very conservative because they believe in the entitlement system. They believe in the military state and the promoting America's interests through force. Where the old right was part of what the old Robert Taft party was, and they were for the founding fathers' principle of non-entangling alliances. Matter of fact, most elections are won by at least paying homage to those ideas, because even in the year 2000, the foreign policy that President Bush talked about was really appealing to these sentiments. You know, a humble foreign policy, no nation building, don't be a policeman of the world. And the difference here is everybody knows I believe it, and that I would do it because I have never voted for this military intervention. And it's not strange or new to the Republican Party or to America. Americans generally have always voted for the person that was trying to stay out of there. But the old right had this grand tradition, and that was very much held together for many years by the Republican Party, and I'm challenging the party principle on this, that we shouldn't act like the others have over the years that led us into wars like Korea and Vietnam, and here we as Republicans for the first time, you know, have drifted into this war by not remembering the old traditions of the traditions of the old right.
What's your response to those who say it's about national security? They're arguing that we need to stay tough around the world to protect people here in the United States. How do you respond to
Well, I think it does the opposite. We get weaker. I mean, we have more enemies than ever before. We have fewer friends. Our military capabilities are greatly diminished, you know, because the equipment's in bad shape. The military is very unhappy, and that's why I think I'm getting support from the military. It's because we have a de facto draft. If we really got into a hot war, we're really not all that well prepared, and we're weakened because of what it does to us financially. Great empires don't end because you get invaded and taken over. They end because they destroy the money, and they spend so much money it becomes such a great burden that the people at home lose their prosperity, and that's what we're in the midst of. We're in the midst of a dollar crisis. We can't even help the people who are dependent on government because of this endless expenditures overseas. And the issue that I've made so many times is that we are more endangered by this policy rather than less so, because if you understand the incentives behind those who would like to come here and kill us comes from the fact that we occupy their countries. We would do the same thing. And we should look at the logic of it. How would we react? All Democrats and Republicans and independents would be together. If we had the Chinese on our soil and they were building permanent bases, believe me, we would be unified. So that is logical, and to deny that is just foolhardy. To think that we are in great danger because we are free and prosperous just is so misleading, and is leading down a path of disaster and of great weakness to us militarily.
What do you mean when you say you have so much support from the military?
Because of the funding. You know, we get more money from the military than anybody else.
Your campaign?
Yeah. I mean, first and second quarter, somebody went and figured this out. We didn't even do it as a campaign, but somebody did it statistically and found out that I got more money. I think Obama might have the second amount, as much money, but I get more money than all the other Republicans. One time, it was being close to all the other ones put together. In the second quarter, it came out. It's not, but it's overwhelmingly so that we get more donations from the military and retired personnel and military people.
Given how unpopular the war is, what are you doing to get independents to vote in your race, since right now they all appear to be leading Democratic in New Hampshire?
Well, of course, that's the challenge of the campaign, and that's why we're starting to spend a lot of that money we've been saving. I mean, we've raised a lot of money and have more money in the bank than most of the candidates, although some candidates can have money in the bank and can put their own money in. But we're in good shape, and we're going to we're going to campaign like we're supposed to and get that message out, because I think our message is very appealing to independents. I think that's why this is a great state to be campaigning in, and that's why they would certainly, a lot of people in the establishment would like to make sure that something else could come up to sort of not give our campaign a chance, where we can appeal to independents. That's the great part of the system here, is that you allow an independent spirit, independent spirit, where you can go back and forth and keep both parties on their toes, and that's a tremendous advantage for us. And that's why they would like to put you down on the list and make sure that grassroots candidates are no longer able to get a foothold, and they'd like to make it so that you have to be very, very wealthy independently, or very wealthy because you appeal to the special interests, the military-industrial complex, or the financial interests, people who won't challenge the tax system or the monetary system or the foreign policy.
Why are you the candidate for young voters in America?
Because the young people have figured it out. That they're inheriting a mess, and that financially it's not viable. They know that paying into Social Security for the next 60 years or 50 years makes no sense whatsoever, and yet they are going to be paying all these bills. They know that the war is a great burden. They know that the Selective Service still is there. The war is liable to spread, and that they may be drafted. And this time women may well be drafted, and they're fearful of it. And young people are more idealistic. They haven't had their minds, conditioned where you have to only go to Washington and have a good lobbyist if you want to get ahead. They're idealistic enough to believe in freedom, and they like the idea of being left alone. They like the idea that I won't regulate the internet or tax the internet. And I have been so impressed on young people coming to me, and when I ask them, why are you interested, so often they say, I just love your position on the Constitution. That really makes me feel good, that they believe in the rule of law. I never have a businessman that comes to Washington and they come and they discuss things and say, Ron, I really love you because you defend the Constitution. They want to bend the Constitution to make sure that they can get a tax bill passed to their advantage. So I think it's just great that the young people are responding in this manner. I was very, very reluctant to do this, even though I've worked in this direction of moving this cause of liberty along as fast and as quickly as I could. I just didn't think the country was ready. I thought the response would be very modest. I didn't think there were enough people in the remnant of the true believers that didn't depend on government, that believed in the American ideal of freedom and personal responsibility in the marketplace and sound money. And yet that number was much greater. There were a lot of people out there that had been sitting around, that dropped out, and just gave up because they just hear the same stuff over and over again. So that number was much greater than I ever dreamed. And the other thing was the response of the young people, who may not be, they're new to the cause, but they hear the message and they say, this is great, and this is a time and opportunity, this is what I believe in. So those two things have been it has been a pleasant surprise for me, and actually has been the campaign. We haven't been a top-down organization at all. We didn't have huge sums of money. We didn't go out and recruit people. I mean, ordinarily, to get 1,000 small groups of people throughout the country to organize and campaign for you, you'd have to have an organization. You'd have to have charts. We didn't have any of it. But we have over 1,000 meetup groups. They're just growing. Every day there are new meetup groups. So it is a powerful message, and it must be ripe. The country must be ripe for it. And people are concerned about the future. Their personal liberties, the war, economic liberties. I think these are all coming to a head, and the American people are responding very favorably.
Would you like to say anything about the Red Sox?
The Red Sox? No, I'm neutral and all that. I'm non-committal.